Tanrabanan. Initially, we're discussing pay. We said you don't take pay off yerek because that would be mafkir for meiser. You'd be, cheating the aniyim out of their meiser ani because matnas aniyim is pata from meiser. Initially, they would go ahead, and the people of Yericho, they would give yerek from turnips. They would give paya from turnips and kruv's cabbage. And Rabbi Yossi Yoma afle kaflut, even kaflut, which is leeks. Tanya yidach hayinoisen paya lelefet ulu kaflut. Rabbi Shimon Yoma afle kruv. So pashtus now you have three separate shitas. You have both Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Shimon seemingly saying all three. Paya lefet lefet kruv and kaflut. Tanakama not saying kaflut. That's probably or paya, or lefes. So Rabbi Shimon I'm afle kruv. I'm an aleph. Name it tilsa tanoi habi. Let's say there are three tanoim. Tanakama of the first price the holds they only get paya from kruv and from lefes. Tanakama the second price the holds they get paya only from lefes and kaflut. And Rabbi Yossi and Shimon say they gave all three. So pashtus there are three different opinions. Says Morloi, Trey Tanoi Havi. There's only two Tanoim. Tanakama the Reb Shimon, Haina Reb Yossi. The Tanakama of Shimon is Reb Yossi. The Tanakama of Reb Yossi is Reb Shimon. So it's only two different shitas. What does af mean? And when it says af, it means also what? It's referring to what? Af is referring to the Kamaisa. Rashi says, Loi, Tanakama of Reb Shimon, who Reb Yossi. Tanakama of Reb Yossi, who Reb Shimon. So you only have two opinions. My after Kami Travayu doesn't mean on all three. Akamaisa. Tanakama didei kaima the haino alefet the kamar Tanakama the Rabbi Yossi the lefet the kruv. Come Rabbi Yossi afle kaflut kamar lefes. Kaflut is like lefes, but kruv not. Aval kruv not. Tanakama Rabbi Shimon says the lefet the kaflut. Rabbi Yossi. Come Rabbi Shimon no. Kruv is like lefes, but kaflut is not. So basically, they don't hold all three. They only hold two. Tanrabanan. Ben Bahayon. There was a person named Ben Bahayon. He nice and pay yerek. He gave pay yerek. In other words, he wasn't supposed to because we said yesterday yerek is only from something guys that you put away lakiyim. And since a yerek you don't put away lakiyim, pay is only from something you put away lakiyim. And since you don't put this away lakiyim, therefore what it is pata from pata from paya. So now however the son of a person named Bachayon, he gave pay the yerek aviv, and the person Bahayon came. They were carrying out the yerek mitaris paya. And Bahayon stood on the opening of his garden. He said, "Listen, Banai, hishlichu ma'alechem, throw down your paya, and I'll give you double the amount from crops that have ma'isa taken off. And not because I'm cheap." Excuse me. Why would he tell them it's not because I'm cheap? This guy's it's the opposite. I'm telling you, you're taking $100 worth, I'll give you $200. So what is he saying to him? Saying this makes no sense. Not because I'm cheap. And the answer is they're thinking he's giving him the futch. He's telling him, put it down, he's not going to give anything. So he's telling him, no. The reason I'm telling you to put it down is the limru dechuyi kamatchalu. That you shouldn't think I'm trying to go ahead and cheat you out of your crop. I'm not trying to cheat you out of your crop, but I don't want you going ahead and illegally taking something that was pata from paya and taking this paya. The Beis Hamikdash, there was a lishka called Beis HaParva. If I remember correctly, there was a nikva there that the Kohen Gadol used to go on Yom Kippur. And initially, what would they do? They would go ahead, and again, the Kahanim got all the oiros. They got all the skins from the Karbonis. So they would take the skins and they would spread them out over there. The Erev in the evening, mislaktin oisan la'anshe Beis Av. The Beis Av, there was every mishma had 6 bati avos. They would serve, each day. and the Bate Av of that particular day would come and they would split it up. However, there was these physically strong Kahanim, and Noitlan Isroya, they would practice Kol Dalam Gavar. They would say, listen, whoever's stronger gets it. And so unfortunately, they weren't divided equally. The skins were not divided equally. His skin was they made a takana shehim mischat. Erev Shabbos. They wouldn't divide it every single day. They would divide it on Erev Shabbos when all the Mishkan was there. So frequently there are more people there, it would be more evenly distributed. However, the Asin Kula Mishmaris for Shakal Madadi. Vadayin Hayu Gedolik Kuna. These are not Gedolim. These are the strong, again, the physically strong Kahanim. Noitlan Exab Israel, they would take it, physically they would take it. Amdu Ba'alim, and the Kahanim now came, Viktishim, L'Shamayim. And they said, these Iris al Kaddish L'Shamayim. Now, despite the fact that they were obviously people who cared a lot about money and people who would have no problem pulling away a skin from somebody else, frequently it's part of mine. Once it was given to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they wouldn't be so to have the audacity, and therefore the skins were Kodesh Lebedek Abayis. As a result, the Bedek Abayis made a lot of money. And therefore it says, it wasn't a short period of time, the Heichel was covered with tablets of gold. This is perhaps why this whole thing is brought in over here. It's brought in over here because we said that one of the things that Chizkiyahu did was he gave the overlay of gold to the Melech Asher, so perhaps that's why it's over here. And each one was Ama Alama, Koive Dinar, Zahav. Regel, Hayamat, Peeling my son, they would peel them off. Manichem say Agav Milo, the Harabayas, they bring it up in the Harabayas. They should use oil regolim royan, Shemalachtim no. They would see that the oil regolim, that their malach of the Kahanim is squeaky clean. Ain bod dalim, there's no question about anything that they're not doing the right thing. Tana Abishol Oimer, Kairishal Shikma Hayabri. There was kaimes of shikma of sycamore wood. There were boards of sycamore wood in the Richoy. By Bali Israel, night when I son Israel, they would take them. Amdu Baalam Vekdishon, the Shemayim. So they have a different story. And they would magdish them to the Shemayim Aleim, Al Kiyotze Behem, Omar Abishol, Ben Batnes Misham Abba Yosef Ben Chanin, Oili mi Beisum, Oili mi Alton, Oili mi Beis Chanan. So what's going on over here? These people are, because of oily, because this house of basis, or because of Lasan, because they used to have sticks like a mace. Oily beis chonin. Why? Because oily milich shasan. They used to go ahead and they had incantations. Oily beis katrus. Woe to me is because of katrus. Why? Because oily mikumasam, they would go ahead and they would write negative things. Oily beis Yishmael ben bi'achi. Woe to me because of the house of Yishmael ben bi'achi. Oily me'grufim because of their fists. Shem kahanim gedolim, their high priests, these people, Baisus, Chon, and Kasus, Shmuel and Pachi, were all kahanim. And again, the kahanim at the end of the Bayesheni guys were not necessarily the finest people. It was a political position because again, the Chashmonoyah usurped the Malchus, and it was in the hands of the Chashmonoyah after Hanukkah, and therefore it was a political position because we were under the charge of Rome at the time, and therefore these people weren't necessarily the nicest people. Ubereim Gizbarim, the sons are the treasurers in the temple. The Chasneim are Makolin, and their son-in-laws are Makolin. These also were people out of Makuloi, that things were done through them. The Avdeim Choiftin Esa'am Makles, and the servants, they beat the people with sticks. Okay, this was not a very good time. Tarabanan, Arbet Tzvachai Sofcha Azara. The Azara called out four things. The first one was, So Mikan B'nai Eli. Let the B'nai Eli get out of here. Shetimu Hechel Hashem. We've seen this many times before. B'nai Eli, they were accused of Sheyishkumanes Anoshim. They were accused of snus. In fact, they weren't doing snus. The Gemara in Shabbos says, Kol Omer B'nai Eli Chayta Eni Elotoy is making a mistake. What they would do is they make the women wait before they went home, thus be Muvatlan from Pir Verivya. Because a woman, the Yoledus brings a bird. They weren't interested in birds. They wanted a piece of steak. So if a person bought an ox or a pork or something substantial, or lamb chops, they weren't interested in birds. They make the woman wait. That the Torah equates with snus. So therefore, that was the first cry of the Azara. The second cry of the Azara, say mikan Yisachar ish kvar bakai. Let Yisachar ish bar bakai leave here. Shemachabin esatzim echal kach shemayim. He cared about himself and his mechabe kach shemayim. We'll see in a second what happens to him. Rabbi Korach Yodei B'Shiroi. He'd wrap his hands with what? With Shiroi. He'd wrap his hands with silk. V'Ovid Avoida, and he'd do the Avoida. Void Sovcha Azara. A third cry is Shu Shem Rashechem. This is a good cry. Raise up your hands. You open the gates. V'Yikonis Yishmael ben Piachi. Hamidah Shal Pinchas. Like Yishmael ben Piachi, the Talmud of Pinchas come in. V'Yishamish B'Hu Gedoyla and be the Kohen Gadol. Right? He was a really good guy, and let him come in. Okay. V'Oid Sivcha Azara. Shu Shem Rashechem. V'Yikonis Yochanan ben Abai. This is Yehuda Horowitz's favorite Kohen of all time. Yochanan ben Rabbi, Hamidah Shel Pinkai, he was the Talmud of Pinkai, the Imali Kreisle Mikach Shemayim, to fill his stomach from all the Kachim. Amrulov Yochanan ben Rabbi, they said about him, Shayoichel Shlosh Meis Hagol, and he was able to eat 300 calves. 300 is always a guzma. The Shoisha Shlosh Meis Gavayayin, they would drink 300 barrels of wine. Va'oichle Arba Sa Goizles Bichnum Suda, and to top it off with a little after a partif. To top it off, they would go ahead and knock it down with 40 birds. Now, Rashi says, guys, look at the last line on the page. He had a lot of kids. So it's not that he could eat a lot. He had a lot of kids. So since he had a lot of kids, right, they had what to eat. So it's very, very good. And Kol Yom of the whole day is like Nimsa Noisa B'Migdash. I found this Meshech Chochma. I'm going to, really not bad at this. Fantastic. Listen to this, guys. I'm from over here. Tosefta, the Tosefta of the Goyim. This is Meir Simcha. I'll make it a little bigger. It might be, actually, I can't make it bigger. Now, Amar of Nasan. What does it say? Amar of Nasan, the Ein Ben Sor Mor Nasa B'Yushalayim. He never had a Ben Sor Mor Yushalayim. Now the question is, why not? Why could you? So nearly Atam, Apimada Amru and Gemara. Sushon Rashechem Yikonis Yochanan ben Rabbi. Yimali Kreisay Shemayim Amru Lo Yochanan ben Rabbi. Shay Oichel Gimel Meis Agolim V'Shoysa Gimel Meis Garvayayin V'Oichel Arba Soy Goisleis Kinuach Suda. Amru Kol Yomav Shel Yochanan ben Rabbi Lo Nimtz Noisa B'Migdash. Exact quote from Gemara. Ad Kan L'Shono. Ulefizeh Gam B'Yushalayim Haya Toida Ushlamim U'Maisa Sheni. Right? V'Chatzer Shel Shalayim B'Dukos Mishum Noisa. In other words, there was tremendous amount of meat in Yerushalayim. There was a carbon Toida and carbon Shlamim and Maisa Sheni, which there was a lot of wine there, and therefore, and therefore they ate a lot of meat. V'yayin Maisa Sheni, and they drank a lot of Maisa Sheni wine, because Maisa Sheni has to be in Yerushalayim. If this kid's going to end up going off the derech, eating meat and drinking wine, we can't blame him because he's exposed to this stuff. So very geschmack, says Meir Simcha. That's Pshat and Tosefta and the Goyim. That's why there never was a Ben Sora Mor in Yerushalayim. That geschmack? Very geschmack, based upon this Gemara. I know. Meir Simcha is such a blitz, it's such an incredible. You learn a Gemara, you say, what could be said on this Gemara? Meir Simcha found something to say on this Gemara. Very geschmack. Okay, let's finish up. So it says the Gemara, what happened to Yisachar Ish Kfar Berkai? Something not so good. So my Salka, what happened to him? Again, he was a person who used to wrap his hands. He used to wrap his hands, guys, in silk because he didn't want to get dirty. He was a fine shmeka. But when you wrap your hands, it's a chatzitza between you and the avodah. And in addition, he cared more about himself than Hashem. We're going to see the Gemara that the Mishabeach the Kahanim on Pesach, that they mamish were immersed in blood with the blood of Karim Pesach, not caring about their own adequate, not caring about themselves, only about Kachar Shemayim. And this person obviously cared more about himself, busy with his hands to make sure that he's squeaky clean, like doing the avodah with gloves, So this is what happened to this guy, Mida Keneged Mida. He was so busy with his hands. Look what happens to him. Amri Malku Savi Asve. You had these Chashmonoim kings. Again, they weren't such good people. You had the king and the queen. They were having a big philosophical discussion. Malka Amr Gaya, you eat goat meat is good. Malka Amra, and the queen said, lamb chops are much better. Giving a goat and a sheep I'll take the goat. I'll take the sheep. Who's going to tell? Who can we use? Who can tell us what's better, a sheep or a goat? Kohen Gadol, the Kamasa Kabbanis Kol Yoima. The Kohen Gadol brings Kabbanis every day. Okay, let's go Amid Beis. So what did they do? They went ahead and they brought they brought Yisachar Brakai. And they asked him, which is better? So Achve Biyada, he went, nah. He went to the king like this. If a goat was better, then they bring it as a carbon tamid. The fact that he did like this to the king was not such a smart thing. Amma Malka, the king said, obviously this person is not scared of the king. Nifkasol Yamin, I'll cut off his right hand. If he went like this. However, he went ahead and gave a bribe to the executioner, and he cut off his left hand. So because he was right-handed, and he wanted to do the avodah. Shama Malkasa upaskel yamin, and he cut off his right hand. So now he was handless. Mida keneged mida. He did the avodah with gloves on his hands.
How could he do the avodah with one hand, anyways? He's a psul, isn't he? How could he do the avodah?
Maybe it's not a mum. Some Rabbi Yosef, Baruch Rachmana, the Ashkel Yisach Ish Kfar Bakai, Limit Rap Semine Bahayalma. Better that Yisach lost both his hands. Better to go ahead and get his punishment in this world than the next. Unbelievable. Ravashi, Yisach Ish Kfar Bakai Leitana Masnisan. Obviously, it was not Ma'aretz. He didn't learn the Mishnah. That Nan, Rav Shimon Omer, Kfasim Koid Mili Isim B'chol Makim. Kfasim come before. Yochalam, I think, Meshim B'chubar. Minan, I think, because they're better. Im keves yavi karbonai. Im keves meaning a gedi or a keves meaning one is better than the other. So therefore, malamet shneim shkulim echad are equal. Ravino ama afilu mikra nami like kara. Forget about mishnayos. He didn't learn chumash. Dichsiv im keves im eis right. Im boy keves laise. If he wants to by shlomim, if he wants to bring a keves, give me a keves. I boy eis laise. So you see from what from the pasuk either or. There's both shkulim. Now look at how the parak ends. It's a very interesting thing. This basically, guys, there's three parts to Masechet Pesachim. The first part deals with chametz, deals with matzah, right? It deals with minig, and the second part deals with the din of carbon pesach. The third part deals with the seder. So the next part coming up is the din of carbon pesach. If you take a look, this whole amid is speaking about hakdama to the Karban Pesach. Tomorrow night, Bez Hashem, in Shul, I'm going to meet Monday. I invite everybody and on Zoom, and we'll give hakdama to the Karban Pesach and speak about Karbanis because it really is an introduction to Kachim. So Bez Hashem, tomorrow we'll give you a proper introduction. I thank everyone for listening.
Same time, 8:30.